Hey guys, it's Dave of CigarNoise TV, and tonight we're joined by Nick Melillo of Foundation Cigar Company.
Yes, sir. We got Alex Garcia here, the art director for Foundation also. And we're here in Nicaragua, live and direct. I was born in the great state of Connecticut in a place called New Haven. New Haven is very famous for cigar factories at the turn of the century. I really, got into cigars as I started university back in 1996. Started running a cigar shop while I was studying international business. Really dove in passionately into the history of tobacco, the roots of tobacco, the indigenous cultures throughout the Americas, the use of tobacco. And then at the time, it was the height of the cigar boom. It had to have been 98. It was the first time I met Jonathan Drew. He came in for an event, and we did an event for a brand called La Vieja Habana, which John was making at Perdomo at the time. So anyway, we met and kept in touch. I finished school in 2000, went and worked for the Vatican, volunteering.
Wow.
And also working. I ended up getting some work after my volunteer work for a soup kitchen right in the heart of Rome. Of course, I was smoking cigars all along the way. I ended up backpacking all across Europe, following Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers around Europe, Germany, Amsterdam, Italy, all over the place. So yeah, my love for Jamaica and Jamaica tobacco has always been there. I always have had the really great urge to travel. Travel is just something. I remember going to Italy when my father took us when we were like 13, and it just opened the doors to so many other worlds. So I knew when I graduated school, I wanted to travel. So I bought an around the world ticket for about $1,500, and went from Paris to India to Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, China, Japan. And when I was in Japan, John had been on my email list, and he said, "What are you doing when you come back? I want you to come down to Nicaragua and be my right-hand man." So I traveled around the world for almost a year, was in the States for a month, and moved down to Esteli, Nicaragua in March of 2003.
Round one, what is the Foundation Cigar Company elevator pitch?
The elevator pitch is Foundation Cigar Company is dedicated to quality, consistency, balance, flavor, and really building brands with heart and soul. Handmade cigars, Esteli, Nicaragua. The brands that we build, it's like the tobacco, which is the foundation of everything we do.
Round two, they call you Chief of the Broadleafs. Is there a kick-ass story behind that?
Definitely, but the name actually comes from an old brand from a company called, National Cigar Company. This was a company actually out of Illinois that used broadleaf, and they were some of the brands that my grandfather smoked. So the brand was actually called Black Hawk, and on the box under Black Hawk it said Chief of the Broadleafs. So I sort of adopted the name because I've been working in the Valley, for 10 years plus, really working close with farmers and really developing relationships and, growing techniques to grow, really great broadleaf for premium brands.
All right, so round three. If you were to blend a cigar that represented Nick, what types of characteristics would it have?
Rich, complex, definitely earthy, some hints of spice in there, and definitely, I'd like to say a little bit of balance there. Try to keep it balanced.
I love the backstory of the Upsetters brand, and particularly bringing Jamaican tobacco to the world stage again. So what was the decision process in infusing that tobacco?
It was Bob Marley's 70th birthday a couple years ago, almost 2 years ago, and I was working on Wednesday, and I realized it was Bob's 70th birthday, and I said, I gotta go. This was like 3 days before his birthday. So, and I've always had the idea of wanting to use Jamaican tobacco. It's actually been really tough to source. I ended up making the trip. It was a great celebration. I didn't even realize they were having actually an open celebration at his house in Kingston. Great artist. Yeah, his family, his sons were all hanging out. And then I spent the rest of the week traveling throughout the island. And, it's interesting because tobacco is grown throughout the island in the mountains by many people. They actually use it, of course, to roll into what they call spliffs down there. So actually, anybody's house you go to that has a little plot of land that's farming vegetables or anything, everybody has tobacco in that garden, which was, I was awesome. And it's an indigenous strand that's been grown by the Arawak in the indigenous cultures before then, called, they call it cow tongue or silver tongue. It's an incredibly mild tobacco. Okay, the characteristics is it's incredibly mild and smooth. Then I started learning more about how the Arawak would actually cure and ferment these tobaccos, similar to how they do Kentucky Fire Cured, where they use hardwoods in the curing barns during the curing process. They actually use different herbs and whatnot in that process in Jamaica, which I found was interesting. So that sort of set it off, into the infuse.
Round 5. Knowing what you know about yourself, what's the one question you would ask yourself in an interview?
What has it been like living in a foreign country for the past 13 years? I think that's one of the biggest questions, because it's definitely very different traveling through a place than actually living in a place. And you're away from family, man, traveling far, you're not around the things you were accustomed to growing up with. And so traveling's through a place is cool, but living in a place definitely brings, a lot of other challenges and,
Perspective.
and a lot of perspective.
If you could smoke a cigar with anybody in the world, who would it be, where would you be, and why?
Man, it would be my grandfather, Pasquale. So my mother's grandfather is 91, thanks God. And he's a cigar smoker and a pipe smoker. My father's father was really hardcore broadleaf smoker. He smoked Topstone, Toppers, Money Makers. These are all hardcore brands from Connecticut, made in Connecticut. And he used to work at the Winchester factory after World War II. So he used to, I always remember him and the aroma of broadleaf being around him. And he passed when I was about 14. So I never had the chance of actually sitting and having a cigar with him. So that would definitely be it. And I would definitely be enjoying a Tabernacle with him or Charter Oak Maduro.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and we'd be rolling. I think we'd just be rolling in his car, because that's one of the things we used to do. He used to take me out to lunch, and we used to, roll with my brother. And it'd be through New Haven. I think that would be right for me.
Round 7. What's the benchmark of success for Foundation Cigar Company? How do you know that you've made it?
This never stops. You know what I mean? For me, if you think you made it at any point in this game, because every day on the production floor is a new day, this takes day in and day out of just constantly. Once you think you made it, that's when people start slipping. And when, the mind starts getting really bloated, and then the vision starts getting blurry.
Round 8. I know that a lot of people look up to you in the industry, but do you have a specific mentor or role model?
One of my role models in the industry is a man by the name of Gustavo Cura that works for Oliva Tobacco Company, not the cigar company, Oliva Tobacco Company, they've been in this game for a long time. Angel Oliva, who started the company, God rest his soul, is one of my broadleaf admirers. Him and his friend Frank Ionessa, who was involved in a lot of the brands, Punch, Boy de Monterrey from Honduras. So I met Gustavo here in Nicaragua early on. You know, I was 24, just turning 25, and Gustavo always treated me straight up. You know, he didn't look down at me for my age, and he's just a really wise guy. Thinks outside the box, inside the box, and really, really taught me a lot of things, and really helped me along the way. And there's a bunch of those guys, man. Angel Izaldi from ASP, which is another tobacco growing company, has, you know, he's like un hermano. He's like a brother to me too. I look up to him. He's like a second father figure to me also. You know, there's some amazing tobacco guys, you know, behind the scenes, and you know, have really taught me and treated me with the utmost respect, and you know, taught me. You know, I've been fortunate to learn from the Plasencias. You know, Nestor Plasencia Senior, Nestor Plasencia Junior. I mean, these guys are all legends to me. So I got to come down here, and I'm like, you know, just soaking it all up. I still soak it all up. You know, you see me around, I just close my mouth and just listen.
For round 9, let's pair up your cigars.
For me, that café con leche with the Wawense, I mean, it complements it really nicely. I mean, it just gets in there. You know, I always say Wawense is cedar and spice and everything nice. You know, with say like a Tabernacle, I would say I'm a bourbon guy. I haven't had Pappy in a long time, but you know, back in like 08, 09, I ended up getting a bottle of like 20 year, and I still have a little bit of that. That goes really nice with the Tabernacle.
Oh, I bet.
I like this Connecticut Shade with a nice coffee, and again, the broadleaf. I'm usually always drinking with something a little bit heavier, a little bit rounder. So a nice bourbon. I usually, you know, when I'm out at a place, Basil Hayden is a nice benchmark for me. So I usually drinking that when I'm smoking a Charter Oak.
Round 10. I'm always excited to see and learn about the hurdles and the disappointments and the setbacks that make up the product and the man that we see today. So, what types of hurdles have you had to cross for Foundation Cigar Company?
We're wearing a lot of hats. You know, you call up Foundation, can I get the shipping department? Yeah, hold on. All right, shipping. You got shipping. First week we start shipping. Excuse me, our merchant account dropped us because we weren't face-to-face tobacco sales. So QuickBooks I had as a merchant account was linked to our QuickBooks, and they all of a sudden nothing's going through, and everything's being declined. And called them up, and they said, you know, you're not face-to-face tobacco sale, so we got to drop you. So I had to hustle and then work with, you know, my bank to get a merchant account, which then wasn't linked up with our QuickBooks, which was another step that made things, you know, much slower. Thank God Dion from Illusion has, if it wasn't for Dion, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. He's been, doing our fulfillment this past year, which we've now moved to Miami. So he really helped me out big time. But there's constant challenges, man. Day to day is a constant challenge. And, you know, for me, it's a whole different world because, you know, there's a great demand for me to be in the stores and whatnot. This hasn't been my world over the past 13. I've been strictly rooted in Esteli, Nicaragua for the past 13 years. You know, I haven't been on the sales side, that side of things, promotion, marketing, and stuff like that. This is for me, this is the most important place for me to be, because at the end of the day, the quality consistency is everything. So, thank God, a lot of these retailers understand, that I really do this, and they've been tremendous in helping to build, Foundation. So challenges, man, daily. I just want to say big up to all the people out there supporting Foundation Cigar Company, man. We appreciate it. If it wasn't for you, we're nothing, and we're just here trying to make cigars and brands that we hope you guys appreciate and feel the passion that's coming through, because it's what we're all about. That's what we spend our time doing. So to see people appreciating it and, loving the cigars, it's beyond words. So, and special thanks to CigarNoise, man. You guys, it's great to get to know you guys, and you guys are doing an awesome job. So I appreciate you guys having us on here.